Mike Strickland was 4 years old when his father passed away. Was that his only misfortune? No. It was just the beginning of his series of misfortunes. His mother, Maria, then a 32-year-old woman, made sure his life was molded to her liking. They say kids from a single-parent home are scarred for life. No, exactly. But if you had Maria as your mother, you will be a submissive and timid kid. Mike never got loved, he just got orders. Ever since he was a 4-year-old kid, his only desire was to get a pat on his back. He got his mother to do that only when he was obedient and gave his mother a reason to parade him in front of her friends. His teens were not without its own issues. His frustration for not having a girlfriend kept him away from friends' circle. He did not want to look like an odd man where everyone was holding hands with their partner. He had the genetics of an athlete, but his self-doubts kept him away from the gym and the track field. His absence from the tracks kept him involved in his books. Yes, he was great with his studies and he did excel in them. His success with his academics made sure that he gets his degree in mechanical engineering and a good job at a major automobile manufacturing company. Being a person who always wanted to please people, he was liked by his peers and his manager. Despite his success and likability, Mike found himself in challenging situations where his eagerness to please became a vulnerability. Some peers and even his manager took advantage of his accommodating nature. They would consistently assign him extra tasks or projects, pushing the boundaries of his workload. This exploitation stemmed from their awareness that he had difficulty saying no, and they exploited his willingness to help without considering the impact on his well-being. A pure doormat, you might say. It gets worse. After 3 years, he married Susan. How did he meet her, you may ask? His mother arranged a meeting between them. Susan was the daughter of a close friend. Maria was more than happy for her son as Susan was good with Maria. Mike, being the obedient son, married Susan. 2 years later, Mike was sitting in a bar and trying his best to make sense of his life. Despite being the best employee month after month, his company will not give him the promotion he deserved. His mother still takes money from him every month despite the fact that she was still working as a shift supervisor at a supermarket. His wife took it a level further. She was having an affair with a local social activist. Social activist would be a nice word. The guy, Robert Page, is a stain on the society. Does not have any job, but lives off social benefits and later protests in front of restaurants for being non-vegan. Do you mind if I sit here? An old man walked up and sat beside him without waiting for Mike to answer. He looked at Mike and then said, "Issues with your life?" Mike looked puzzled. "Why does it matter to you? Who are you?" The man smiled. "So, you do have some fire in you?" Mike looked at the man. "Do you know me? Who are you?" Mike Strickland, 30 years old, born to Maria Strickland and Bruce Strickland. Married Susan 2 years back. Working at the local automobile company and is a doormat that everybody walks on. You work your ass off at office, but the only thing you get is a coffee mug saying Employee of the Month. Not the promotion that you dearly want. Your mother slaps you with bills every month, which I must say she can pay, but makes you pay, so she can enjoy her money with her friends. Your wife is fucking a slimeball, who pretends to do a lot for the world but in reality is nothing more than a nuisance. Oh, by the way, the daughter that your wife gave you, she is not yours, and even in the birth certificate the father's name says Robert. Mike turned his face away from the man. When he looked back, he was gone. Was it my imagination? Mike thought to himself. He walked out and sat in his car. He tried to figure what is going on but could not understand what is going on. Is he going mad? Was that a ghost? Whatever it was, but whatever he said was true. Mike was a mess. He now had a choice, be a doormat or for a change be a man. Mike switched off his phone and drove to the beach. He parked his car and walked to the sea. He walked in the sea and allowed the waves to submerge him. Submerged in water, it was dark and cold. After 10 seconds, his body was craving for air. 15 seconds, his lungs were crying out. 20 seconds, his vision going dark. 25 seconds, his chest now shaking. 27 seconds, he was finally out of the water. Mike walked out and lay on the sand. After 30 minutes, walked to his car and slept in his car. It was Saturday morning that he walked back in his home. Mike went in to shower and finally figured out that it was time to make a decision. He needed to grow a bigger backbone and find the courage to do what was necessary. The time had come to make a change. Enough nonsense had now taken place, and he couldn't take it anymore. Susan walked in with the baby. She was at Robert's place the earlier night. That was not surprising. She usually did that. Although Mike was the husband, it was only in name, and Robert was the one with all the perks and Mike with all the responsibilities. Susan had made it clear. She will go and sleep with Robert, and Mike had to live with it. She had threatened him for domestic abuse and divorce, something that Mike feared. Some will say that if the husband gives the wife permission to see other men, it's not really cheating. It's an open marriage. The other side of that argument was that Mike was not seeing other women, and in fact, Susan had said many times that she expected him to be faithful to her. She had told him that her need to see other men was just a phase, and soon they would go back to being exclusive with each other. On the same hand, Susan had told Mike how happy having sex with Robert made her. Mike was just half of the puzzle, and Robert made her complete. "Susan, we need to talk," Mike said with a very serious expression on his face. She didn't even look at him as she replied, "What is it, sweetie?" He thought, "Here we go. We need to talk about some very important things, about us, about our future." She turned and looked at her husband. "What are you talking about? I'm your wife. You're my husband. What the fuck is going on with you now?" Mike knew that he had to be really blunt about it, so, "Susan, you're not really my wife anymore. You're Robert's wife now." He said it with a finality that surprised her. "Hold on a minute. What the hell are you talking about?" He took a deep breath and continued. "Susan, what makes us a family? You and me." She looked puzzled and wasn't sure what he was saying. "The thing is, Susan, we're not a family. You, Robert, and your baby are a family. You're planning on having another baby with him. I'm not part of the future for you. You made that choice when you got pregnant. What did you think the outcome would be? Did you think you would have two husbands? One you would have babies with and one that would do other things?" Susan looked surprised by what was said, but she knew in the back of her mind, even though she tried to ignore it, that her current arrangement of having two men looking after her wouldn't last forever. One of them would get tired of being second fiddle. Mike went on, "You need to live with me, your legal husband, or go to the father of your baby. It's that simple. You need to make a choice. Once you decided to have Robert's child, you made a choice. So, now I need to make some choices. You have gone mad. Get your shit in place and order the baby food." Susan sneered. "No." Mike shot back. Susan looked at Mike with anger and walked to him and raised her hand to slap him. The hand was caught mid-flight. "Let's not try that. It will just end badly for you." Mike let her hand go. "You have 45 minutes, pack your bag, and go to your lover." Mike removed his watch and set the timer. "Your time starts now. Anything that you leave will be sent to the address of your choice. Now hurry up. The clock is ticking." Susan was shocked at the sudden change in his demeanor. "You will pay for this." She screamed and started packing her stuff. After 40 minutes, she left the house. For the first time in 30 years, he felt different. He could not understand the feeling, but it was making him feel good. Mike was a smart man. He knew she will be back. So, he changed the locks and installed cameras around and inside the house. Everything was done by 4 p.m. Mike expected Susan to come back by 7 p.m. Susan came with Robert at 6:45 p.m. She tried to open the door and found that her keys do not work. The garage door was locked and the pin was changed. She had no option but to ring the doorbell. Mike opened the door. "Why are you here? I guess we already discussed everything," Mike said. "You are a misogynist, bigot, and a creep," Robert sneered. "I never thought your mom will tell you. Did she tell you everything, son?" Mike smiled. "We need to talk," Susan said. "Okay, come in." Mike made way for them. They came and sat in the room. "You cannot throw her out of the house. That is cruel, man," Robert said. "No, it's not cruel. I am fully within my rights to throw her out of the house. I own the house. I bought it with my own money before I got married, and she has no right on the house, and as per the prenup that she had signed, she has no claim on any of my asset as she is cheated." "No, it was an open relationship," Susan sneered. "Prove that I gave my blessing on this," Mike said. "However, I do have texts that you sent me telling me that I need to accept your choices, else you will divorce me and put me in jail. So, you are free to try that in the court of law," Mike said. Mike walked to the kitchen and brought a plate of steak that he had prepared. Robert saw him eat the steak and stood up and threw the plate away. "You cannot eat that," Robert screamed. Mike stood up and smashed his fist on Robert's face. He collapsed and went out cold. Susan cried, "You killed him. Pick up your piece of crap and get the hell out of my house before I lose my cool." Susan somehow picked him up and went out. That evening, cops came to Mike and tried to arrest him. Mike asked them to see a footage and then decide. The cops saw the footage and decided not to arrest Mike. He was just protecting his property and his house from a person who was violent. Mike filed for divorce, and within a week Susan was served. Under the law, it is presumed that the husband is the father of any child that is born while a couple are married. Because Susan had listed Robert as the father on the baby's birth certificate, it was easily established that Mike was not responsible for any child support. It took 6 months for the divorce to be finalized. Because of the prenup, the threatening texts, and the child's DNA report, the court decided that Susan was cheating and the prenup will be in effect, and she does not get any alimony or child support. Mike left the city and changed his job and joined the competition, and within a year got his promotion. He rented a small apartment that met his needs, and he got back to the gym to work on his fitness level. Women don't like fat, flabby, out-of-shape men. He dropped 30 pounds in the process, got a new wardrobe to give himself a modern image, and even got laser eye surgery, so now he doesn't have to wear glasses. That and a set of those plastic, nearly invisible braces for his teeth, along with a much better haircut, gave him a new image that he wanted. A suntan helped complete the picture. It's hard not to get a suntan in California. It really boosted his self-confidence and self-esteem. He felt good about himself for the first time in years. Mike has been seeing a psychologist to figure out why he believed that sharing his wife with another man was a good idea. The psychologist has been able to help him understand the way that his brain works. He had the need to please people in order to feel accepted. Like a lot of men, he would do just about whatever a woman would want if she paid attention to him. Unfortunately, that included letting his wife be unfaithful to him. Yes, he knew that he was a doormat. Yes, he knew that he was a fool. He vowed that it would not happen again. He learned some coping strategies to recognize if he started to do the same thing again. So, he was getting his life back on track in a much healthier way this time around. After 6 months, Mike got a call from his mother. "Hey Mike, how are you? I heard that you divorced Susan. I never liked that woman. Good thing that you left her. I also heard that you got your promotion. Congratulations." "Thanks, Mom. What do you want?" "Oh, no, I just called to congratulate you." "Oh, okay, thanks. I need to work. We'll call you later. Bye." Before Mike could hang up, his mother said, "Listen, I need some money. I need to pay some bills, and you have not paid me. You do not work for me. So why exactly I am supposed to pay you? I am your mother. Why are you talking to me like that? I need that money, and you will give it to me." Maria sneered. "Next time when you talk to me, keep that volume down and put this through that thick skull of yours. There is no money for you. Understand? No money for you. You want money? Work for it." Mike hung up. Maria tried calling again, but Mike hung up and blocked her. In the last 1 year, Mike had broken free from the shackles of his wife and mother. He was a changed man, a better man. 9 months later, Mike was at work when he got a call from the front desk of the building telling him that there was someone there to see him. When he asked who it was, they said a woman. Her name is Susan. Well, he just about dropped the phone on the floor. To say that he was surprised would be a giant understatement. When Mike left his city, he wanted to make a clean break and not have any contact with Susan or any of his old office peers. Mike had a new life and didn't have any interest in any contact with her. So now she had somehow found out where he was, probably one of my family, he thought. If she wanted anything from him, she had a lawyer who could talk to his lawyer and do the asking for her. So what the fuck was she doing here in Silicon Valley, and more importantly, what the fuck did she want from Mike? After a year, when he got to the building foyer, he saw immediately that indeed it was Susan. She stood up, and he quickly saw that she was very pregnant, probably 7 or 8 months along. He sucked in a deep breath and said hello. "Maria, to say that I am surprised to see you here is, well, what brings you to San Jose?" Susan almost did not recognize the man that she saw. It wasn't until he spoke that she realized that it was Mike. He looked very different from the last time she saw him about a year ago. He was now a very handsome man. He was fit, had obviously lost weight, his upper body was much bigger, he had clearly added a lot of muscle. He was well-dressed and well-groomed. She thought that he looked like that actor Tom Holland. Where had the old Mike gone? She didn't know, but this one was amazingly different. "Mike, I need to talk to you. Before you say anything else, follow me so we can talk privately." He led her to a conference room on the next floor up. It had glass walls so that people could easily see if there was a meeting going on, but the glass was thick, and the heavy door gave a good degree of privacy. They sat down, and he made sure not to sit too close to her. "Susan, whatever it is you have to ask or say, why didn't you just do it through your lawyer and save yourself all the trouble of coming all this way? I assume you are still living in Atlanta. What I need to talk to you about isn't something that I want to do through a lawyer." He put his hand up to cut her off. "Wait, if this is about money, I don't know you anything. Your lover is responsible to support you and your babies," as he pointed at her large pregnant belly. "That's what I want to talk about, Mike. He's not my husband." Well, whatever he is not my concern. As I recall, you left me for him. You decided that you loved him enough to have his child, and you loved him enough to tell me that you planned to have more of his babies. So, looks like you got what you wanted. Whatever he and you are now is none of my business. We're divorced, Susan, plain and simple. With that, Susan turned on the waterworks. She began crying and doing the sobbing inhales as she tried to speak. Mike found a box of tissues and slid it along the table to her. She quickly grabbed a handful and blew her nose. She was very pregnant. The baby was apparently not cooperating and was constantly sitting on her bladder, so she had to pee frequently. I have to pee really bad. I need a bathroom, please. Oh, cripes, he thought. He pointed to a private washroom off the side of the conference room. A few minutes later, Susan emerged, a bit more composed but still sniffling and wiping her nose. Susan, I'm sorry that it didn't work out between you and Robert, but that is none of my business. You need to talk to him about support for his children. Maybe get your lawyer to petition the court for child support and support for you since you have the job of being their mother. My lawyer is working to get money out of him to help look after my children. But I need a husband. I need you. What the? He was surprised that Maria would come all the way from Atlanta to San Jose to tell him that. But what did she think he was going to do? So, why are you here? I don't run a matchmaking service. There are lots of those back east. You're a beautiful woman who could easily attract lots of men. Sign up for Tinder for fuck's sake. What the fuck do I do now, Mike? You were the only man that loved me. We were married for 4 years. We were married. We are not married. That is the fact now. So, get up and get lost. I am having none of your tears and sobs. Susan then left and never came back. As for Mike, he is still single, and for affection, he has 2 big German shepherds. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.